Close your eyes now and allow your breath to become the bridge between your world and the sacred dust of Israel in the 9th century BC. Inhale deeply and feel the air change. It is no longer the air you know. Feel the dry, merciless heat of the Gilead desert entering your lungs, bringing the rustic scent of pine resin, scorched stones, and the bitter perfume of wild wormwood growing between the rocks. You are not merely listening to a report. You are donning Elijah's cloak of camel hair. Feel the rough, irritating texture of this fabric against your skin, a constant reminder that you do not belong to palaces, but to the presence of the Most High. Inhale the scent of the dry earth, a land crying out for water that does not come, as you observe a people who have traded eternal glory for statues of cold metal and stone eyes. Imagine yourself now walking toward the palace of Samaria. Feel the sudden transition of the environment, from the vast silence of the mountains to the luxurious oppression of King Ahab's court. Inhale the suffocating perfume of imported oils, the incense of Baal, and the fatty meats steaming in banquets steeped in apostasy. The contrast is a shock to your spirit. Your feet, calloused and covered by the red dust of the path, now tread upon the cold, polished marble of the royal hall. Feel the weight of the guard's gaze, the glint of bronze swords, and the whispers of counselors who bow before a king who has bowed before an idol. But within you, there is a fire that consumes fear. The presence of God in your life is like an invisible weight upon your shoulders, an authority that makes Ahab's luxury seem like refuse. You stop before the throne. The silence that falls over the hall is so dense that you can hear the beat of your own heart against your ribs. Inhale the aroma of tension. Look into Ahab's eyes and see the vacuity of a man who holds the scepter in his hand but has his soul in chains. You open your mouth, and the voice that comes out does not seem like your own, but a contained thunder. As the Lord God of Israel lives, before whom I stand, there shall not be dew nor rain these years, except according to my word. Feel the impact of these words, vibrating in the air, as if an iron door were closing in the heavens. The dew, that subtle moisture that kisses the flowers at dawn, vanished at the exact moment you pronounced the verdict. Exhale doubt, and feel the courage to be the spokesperson of the invisible against the visible. If you have ever felt alone, defending the truth in a world that prefers lies, subscribe now to this journey so your spirit may be strengthened, and leave your comment with the words, "I will stand for the truth," sealing your identity as a warrior of light. Now, feel the divine order leading your steps away from the king's hatred. Leave here, turn eastward, and hide in the Kerith ravine. Inhale the scent of the lonely journey. You walk for days, fleeing a decaying civilization, until you find a narrow gorge where the sound of water running over stones is the only music. Feel the sudden coolness of this microclimate. The water of Kerith is crystal clear, cold, and invigorating. Feel it going down your throat, washing away the dust of the prophecy, but the world outside is dying. Inhale the scent of the drought that begins to envelop Israel, while you are kept in the secret place of the Most High. Listen now to the beating of wings, a rhythmic sound, whoosh whoosh, cutting through the cloudless blue sky. Look up and see the ravens. Feel the sensory strangeness, birds of prey, associated with death, bringing life. Inhale the scent of fresh bread and roasted meat that they drop into your hands. How can meat be brought by those who consume it? This is the miracle of providence that defies logic. Feel the texture of the warm bread in your fingers and the taste of God's faithfulness in every bite. The king searches for your head in every nation, but the birds of heaven know your secret address. Inhale the peace of being sustained by the improbable. Exhale the anxiety about your tomorrow. But time passes, and the brook begins to dry up. Feel the transition from abundance to scarcity. Watch the stream of Kerith become a thin line, then drops, and finally, just hot stones and dry silt. Inhale the scent of cracked earth and dead moss. God is moving you again. Go at once to Zarephath. Feel the effort of the walk under a sun that now punishes the land like a whip of fire. Your lips are cracked, your skin is burned, but your faith is intact. Upon reaching the gates of the Phoenician city, you see a woman. Feel the aura of death that surrounds her. She is gathering sticks, but the scent emanating from her is the scent of the end, the scent of ashes and an empty kitchen. Bring me a little water, you ask. Feel the vibration of her tired voice as she responds that she has nothing but a handful of flour and a little oil for a last meal before dying with her son. Inhale the despair of this mother, but hear the wisdom that buds from your lips. Don't be afraid. Go home and do as you have said. But first, make a small loaf of bread for me. Feel the weight of this demand. It is not selfishness, it is the principle of the primacy of the kingdom. Accompany her to the kitchen. Feel the heat of the small fire of sticks. Watch her dip her hand into the jar. Inhale the aroma of the oil that refuses to run out. Feel the texture of the dough that, miraculously, remakes itself with every handful removed. A little with God is not just enough. It is an inexhaustible source. If you feel that your resources are at an end, but you still choose to trust the prophetic word, leave your like on this video and share this meditation with someone who needs to know that the jar of oil in their life will not dry up as long as there is faith. Prepare your heart, for the silence of the kitchen in Zarephath is about to be interrupted by a cry that will demand more from you than just bread, but life resurrected itself. The atmosphere of miracles in the kitchen of Zarephath, once filled with the warm, yeasty scent of multiplying flour, suddenly turns cold. Inhale and feel the sharp, metallic transition from peace to tragedy. The rhythmic sound of the widow's footsteps as she prepares bread is replaced by a terrifying, hollow silence from the back room. Her son, the child who sat at your feet and shared the bread of providence, is no longer breathing. Inhale the scent of the mother's raw, agonizing grief. It is a smell like salt and wet earth. She runs to you, her eyes wild with a pain that no miracle of flour can soothe. What do you have against me, man of God? Did you come to remind me of my sin and kill my son? Sinta a vibração do desespero dela em sua própria pele. Feel the weight of her accusation, a pressure that would crush a man who did not know his king. But do not answer with words. Inhale the gravity of the moment as you gently take the limp, cold body of the child from her trembling arms. Feel the texture of the boy's skin, pale, waxy, and drained of the heat of life. You carry him up the narrow stairs to the upper room, where you stay. The air here is thin and smells of old wood and the scent of your own prayers. Lay him on your bed. Inhale and feel the audacity of faith rising in your chest like a dormant volcano. You stretch yourself out over the boy 3 times, skin to cold skin, breath to silent lips. Lord my God, let this boy's life return to him. Exhale the doubt. Feel the sudden, electric jolt of the supernatural as the cold flesh beneath you begins to warm. Inhale the miraculous scent of life returning. It is like the smell of grass after a summer rain. Thump, thump. The boy's heart begins to beat against your own. His eyes open, reflecting the divine light of the room. You carry him down, and as the mother sees her son alive, the room is filled with the fragrance of absolute restoration. "Now I know that you are a man of God," she whispers. If you have ever stood in a room of loss, wondering if life could ever return to what was dead, know that the God of Elijah enters the silent rooms of our pain. Subscribe to this sanctuary of truth and comment, "I believe in restoration, for the God of the living is moving, even now." But the silence of the hidden room must now be traded for the thunder of the mountain. 3.5 years have passed. The land of Israel is a skeleton. Inhale the scent of death that covers the hills, the smell of rotting carcasses, and the bitter dust of a land that has forgotten how to weep. You reappear before Ahab. The king's eyes are red with fury. "Is that you, you troubler of Israel?" he growls. Feel the calm, unshakable authority in your voice as you retort, "I have not made trouble for Israel, but you and your father's family have." The air is electric with the coming confrontation. You summon the nation to Mount Carmel. Imagine the scene. On one side, 450 prophets of Baal, dressed in ornate, blood-stained robes, smelling of sweat and frantic, failed rituals. On the other side, you, dressed in your desert cloak, smelling of the wind and the wilderness. Between you, a nation paralyzed by indecision. How long will you waver between two opinions? Your voice roars, echoing off the limestone cliffs. Inhale the scent of the dry wood on the altars. The sun burns at high noon, a white-hot eye watching the prophets of Baal dance, scream, and cut themselves until their blood mixes with the dust. Nothing. The silence is deafening. Now, the atmosphere shifts as you rebuild the altar of the Lord with 12 stones. Feel the weight of the rocks, the history of the tribes in your hands. You pour water, precious, rare water, until the trenches overflow. The scent of wet earth rises, a promise of what is to come. You step forward. No dancing, no screaming. Just a prayer of absolute alignment. "Answer me, Lord, answer me, so these people will know that you, Lord, are God." The fire. Inhale, and hold your breath as the sky is torn apart. A pillar of white, blinding flame descends with the sound of 1,000 rushing winds. It does not just burn the meat, it consumes the wood, the stones, the soil, and licks up the water in the trench. The heat is so intense, it turns the air into gold. The scent is of pure, holy ozone. The people fall on their faces, their cry a seismic wave. "The Lord, He is God." But look to the horizon. Inhale the first scent of the sea. A small cloud, the size of a man's hand, appears. The drought is breaking. Feel the first heavy drops of rain hitting the hot dust. The smell of petrichor, the scent of the earth being born again. You run before the chariot of Ahab, fueled by a strength that defies the flesh. If the fire of Carmel has touched your spirit today, leave your like and share this journey, for the heavens are opening over your life as well. Prepare yourself, for after the fire comes the whisper, and the journey is far from over. The torrential rain that washed the blood of the false prophets from the slopes of Carmel has ceased, leaving the air thick with the heavy, humid scent of saturated earth. But as the physical storm subsides, a psychological tempest begins to howl. Inhale and feel the sudden, icy transition from the heights of victory to the depths of a hollow soul. A messenger arrives from Jezebel, and the scent he brings is not of rain, but of venom and iron. May the gods deal with me, be it ever so severely, if by this time tomorrow I do not make your life like that of one of them. Feel the visceral shift in your chest. The man who stood against 850 prophets, the man who called down fire from the heavens, now feels a cold, paralyzing knot of fear tightening in his stomach. Inhale the scent of sudden, overwhelming exhaustion. It is a smell like old ash and salt. You run, not out of strength, but out of a desperate need to disappear. You flee into the wilderness of Beersheba, leaving behind the noise of the nation. Inhale the lonely scent of the desert night, the smell of cooling sand, dry scrub, and the vast, indifferent stars. You collapse under a lone broom tree, its thin branches offering a skeletal shade. Feel the rough, dry sand against your face as you sink into the dirt. "It is enough," you whisper, and the words taste like dust. "Now, Lord, take my life. I am no better than my ancestors." Inhale the heavy aroma of absolute burnout. You have given every ounce of your spirit, and you feel as though you are an empty vessel, shattered on the desert floor. You fall into a deep, heavy sleep, the sleep of a man who does not wish to wake up. But the silence is broken by a touch, not the rough hand of a guard, but the weightless, warm touch of an angel. Inhale the fragrance of heaven in the middle of the wasteland, a scent of freshly baked bread on hot stones, and water that smells like the very beginning of the world. Get up and eat. You open your eyes to see a meal prepared by hands that know your fatigue. Feel the warmth of the cake in your hands and the life-giving coldness of the water as it hits your parched throat. You eat and you sleep again. A second time, the touch returns. Get up and eat, for the journey is too much for you. God does not scold your weakness. He feeds your hunger. He does not demand more fire. He provides more fuel. If you have ever felt like you were at your breaking point, sitting under your own broom tree of despair, know that the Creator is not finished with you. He is preparing a meal in your wilderness. Subscribe to this sanctuary of peace and leave a comment. The whisper is my strength. To align your spirit with the quiet work of God, strengthened by that divine food, you walk for 40 days and 40 nights into the heart of the mountain of God, Horeb. Inhale the ancient, sacred scent of the jagged granite peaks where Moses once stood. You find a cave, a dark, rocky cleft that smells of stone and old echoes. You hide. The voice comes to you in the dark. "What are you doing here, Elijah?" You pour out your heart, your complaints, your loneliness, the scent of a wounded ego that feels it is the only one left. "Go out and stand on the mountain," the Lord says. And then the world begins to tear apart. The wind, a hurricane-force gale, shrieks through the peaks, shattering rocks and turning the air into a chaotic swirl of grit and roar. But God is not in the wind. The earthquake, the mountain beneath your feet, groans and heaves, the stone floor buckling with a violent, terrifying vibration. But God is not in the earthquake. The fire, a wall of flames, surges across the mouth of the cave, the heat searing the air and turning the sky a hellish orange. But God is not in the fire. And then, after the fire, a sound. It is not a sound of power, but a sound of presence. Inhale the stillness. It is a sheer silence, a thin, whistling hush that makes the hair on your arms stand up. It is the still, small voice. It is a whisper so intimate it bypasses your ears and speaks directly to your marrow. You wrap your face in your cloak, feeling the soft wool against your skin, and you step out. In this whisper, you find the instructions for the next chapter. You find that you are not alone. 7,000 others have not bowed. Exhale your isolation. Inhale the divine strategy. The journey is far from over, for a mantle is about to be cast, and a new fire is being prepared for the path ahead. The profound silence of Horeb lingers in your spirit as you descend from the mountain of God. No longer a man running from death, but a man walking toward a legacy. Inhale the scent of the plains of Israel as you return, the smell of turned earth, and the green, grassy aroma of a harvest in progress. The landscape has changed. The brown, cracked soil has been replaced by the vibrant life of a nation recovering from drought. Feel the warmth of the sun on your back, no longer a punishing fire, but a gentle companion. As you walk, you see a young man in the distance, his hands gripping the handles of a plow. Inhale the scent of the field, the musk of 12 pairs of oxen, the smell of damp soil being overturned, and the salty, honest sweat of labor. This is Elisha. He is a man of the earth, focused and strong. You approach him in a silence that speaks louder than words. Feel the weight of your mantle, the cloak of camel hair that has seen the winepress of fear, the fire of Carmel, and the whisper of the cave. You take it off, and with a deliberate, rhythmic motion, you cast it over Elisha's shoulders. Feel the sudden stillness as the fabric touches him. It is a moment of spiritual gravity, a transfer of a weight that belongs to the heavens. Elisha stops. He feels the vibration of the calling in his very marrow. Inhale the scent of his decision. It is the smell of a bridge being burned. He kills the oxen and uses the wooden plow for a fire to cook the meat for his people. He is leaving his plan B in the ashes. He chooses to follow you, not as a king, but as a servant, as a son. Inhale the peace of companionship. For the first time in years, you are not alone. You have a disciple who drinks from your wisdom as if it were a spring in the desert. Together, you walk through Gilgal, Bethel, and Jericho, the atmosphere growing thinner, more electric with every step toward the final horizon. The journey leads you back to the banks of the Jordan River. Inhale the ancient, deep scent of the water, green, rushing, and full of memories of a promised land. You take your mantle once more and strike the water. Crack. Feel the vibration as the river peels back like a scroll, revealing a dry path through the depths. As you cross with Elisha, the air begins to hum with a frequency that is not of this world. The scent of the Jordan is suddenly replaced by the sharp, terrifyingly clean smell of celestial lightning. You turn to Elisha one last time. Ask what I shall do for you before I am taken. Hear his voice, steady and bold. Please, let a double portion of your spirit be upon me. You look at him with a knowing smile. You have asked a hard thing, but if you see me when I am taken, it shall be yours. And then, the heavens do not just open, they dissolve. The chariot, inhale, and hold your breath as a whirlwind of golden radiance descends from the heights. It is a chariot of fire, pulled by horses of living flame. The heat is not of the sun, it is the heat of the presence of the King. The wind is a roar of triumph, a seismic vibration that shakes the very atoms of the air. You are caught up. Feel the weight of the earth falling away as you are enveloped in the fire. You are not dying. You are being translated into eternity. Your body does not see the dust, because your spirit has always belonged to the flame. As you ascend, your mantle slips from your shoulders. It spins through the air, a piece of the earth falling back to the earth. Elisha catches it. He cries out, my father, the chariot of Israel and its horsemen. Inhale the glory of a finished race. You have transitioned from a man hidden in a cave to a man riding the fire of God. Exhale the last of your earthly worries. The story of Elijah is the proof that those who walk with God through the drought, the fire, and the whisper will never truly see an end. They simply find their way home. If this fire has ignited a new strength in your soul today, subscribe to this sanctuary and leave your final seal in the comments. The God of Elijah is my God. The chariot is moving. The mantle has fallen, and your journey of fire continues. Go forth in this strength. Amen.